It's a strange one where you're going to face the same side in the same venue again so soon.
I think it's just the nature of the league, isn't it? With so many kind of, there's only so many teams in the country, and it sometimes, you know, throws up stuff like this. So, yeah, it can be quite strange that you're going back down there kind of 2 weeks in a row. But it's, you know, that's the hand we've been dealt, and we need to just deal with it and go back down and try and get another positive result.
Yeah. Does the result down there come into it at all? Like last Friday?
Last Friday, I wouldn't imagine so. I think it's a different game. It's a one-off. Cup games can always throw up different performances, different results. So it's totally different. I think it's one that I think performance-wise we'll hope to play a lot better and still come out with a similar result, which would mean we'd go through to the cup final.
Can you just ask, like, what's your semi-final record? I know you've made a few finals. Like, do you remember much of those semis that you played in?
Not really. No, I don't really recall the semi-final. I think we had one semi-final loss against Celtic on penalties, where it went probably, I think it was 13-12 or something. It was coming back around to me. I think 𝗲𝗚 missed before me, which I was obviously disappointed with, but relieved that it was him and not me. So yeah, I think we've had a couple of semi-finals where we've lost, and plenty where we've won as well. So yeah, it's not something you remember or you look back fondly on. You know, you just try and put it to the back of your mind and forget about it and look forward.
Yeah, is that it? Like, they're kind of the ones where you're so close and so far. Like, people remember everyone who makes the final. It's very hard to remember teams who lose semi-finals.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's you know, when you get knocked out in a semi-final, it's obviously something you don't tend to remember. You don't look back when you're finished and go, I remember that semi-final, I remember that one. It's the finals you remember, and it's they're the games that you look back on and think, if you end up losing that one, maybe you look back and think what could have been. But yeah, I think if you get knocked out in a semi-final, it's the same as getting knocked out in another round.
Yeah, like, you do appear to be going into as a form team. Like, I saw a stat on Twitter this morning that since you took over, you've picked up more points than anyone else. Like, if the league started the day you took over, you'd be top of the league right now.
I didn't though. Well, that's the problem, isn't it? Didn't. No, I've not seen that one. But no, look, the lads are in a good place. I think we've obviously had a couple of little bumps on the road that, you know, you get, and that's part of football. You need to try and get back as quickly as possible to winning ways. I think one thing we've tried to do is that if we get beat, it's trying not to lose the next one. And you know, it's something that happens in football. You're going to lose games of football. It's about how you react to that. And I think every time we've had a little kind of bump in the road, we've reacted really well and turned out a positive result after that. So yeah, so we're obviously going into it, as you said, probably, you know, we're probably one of the form teams, but I think I'd imagine it's quite tight. Everybody seems to be beating everybody and taking points off everybody in the league. So there's no easy games in the league. You know, we've seen that with some of the results that present themselves, and it's very much trying to focus on each individual game as they come. And this obviously is a different one. It's away from the league. I'm sure it'll be good respite from the league for Cork, in, you know, the sense that it gives them an opportunity to get to a cup final also. So yeah, so it's one that we're fully focused on, and we'll be fully ready come Sunday.
All right. Thanks, John.
Cheers. Thank you all.
Sean, Mark, you there yet?
Yep, how's it going?
How are you, Mark?
John, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good stuff. Come here, you came into Pat's a couple of weeks after the 2021 Cup final win. Like, was there any kind of atmosphere around the club that suggested they'd achieved something momentous at the time, or like, did you get any kind of vibe that something special just happened?
Yeah, I think there was plenty of buzz around the place. I think you could feel that when you came in, and I think it's the club have done a really good job behind the scenes to maintain that and to make sure that buzz around football in 𝗬𝗙𝗀 has stayed. And I think you know, it is something that you could feel it when you came in that the club had been successful, although a lot of that squad had left by the time I'd got in. So it was very much quickly focusing on trying to build a side to go and compete the next season.
Yeah, just how, as a manager and a young manager and a new manager, how important is it to get a trophy to your name at an early stage, as early as possible?
I think it's important, regardless of where you are in whether you're a manager or a player. I think, you know, getting to cup finals, winning trophies is very difficult. You know, there's players that have gone through their whole career and never won anything, and you know, as I was saying to Owen, that's the stuff you look back on when you finish. You know, what did you manage to win? What did you manage to achieve? And you know, I think that's the big thing. It's not about, you know, whether I'm a young manager or getting a trophy early. It's about trying to get to a cup final, trying to win a trophy, and if we can, it'd be fantastic for not only myself but for the players and the staff and for everyone involved with the football club. But we've got a huge game to overcome before we can even contemplate that. You know, I expect a big performance from Cork on Sunday at home in front of a packed out stadium, and it's not something we've kind of allowed ourselves to even kind of think of, you know, about looking that far ahead.
Fair enough. You've won cup win under your belt, don't you, as a player, 2010?
Yeah, and I have loads from the underage at 𝗖𝗊𝗡𝗙𝗦 as well. I don't think that counts though.
Yeah. Just in terms of, I suppose, senior honours, like, what does that 2010 win mean to you? How has it kind of defined your career?
Yeah, well, it's mad. It's like you look back on it and it's like there's stuff from around the game that, like, when you, like, songs, for instance, when I hear, like, I've Got a Feeling by 𝗣𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗙, it reminds me of 2010 cup final, because that's the song that was then, you know. And it's like, so it's things like that when that comes on, it just gives you the memory of winning the cup. So I think it's you know, the stuff like that like, it's weird, but it's like it just gives you a good feeling, you know. So so it's fantastic to do that, to have won it. Obviously we've missed out on a couple of League Cup ones and other ones along the way, and that's, you know, disappointing, but you try and learn from it and you try and, you know, strive for that next opportunity. And we've got a chance to get through to a cup final, to give ourselves a chance to do it. And as I said, it's important that we focus fully on Sunday, and then if we get through that, we've then got 4 big league games to focus on.
Yeah. So when you mentioned that song, I saw Owen Cowser Grimace, and because that song kind of brings up PTSD for anyone who's in Paris for the 2009 playoff against France. Right. But obviously you've had your memories of it.
I do indeed, yeah, I do. Yeah.
But I suppose just finally, from how big is Sunday's game for the club, and for, I suppose, your ambitions and gaining momentum in terms of what you want to do with the club?
Yeah, well, I think we're obviously clear in our objectives. We want to be challenging for trophies, and this is one of the two that you can challenge for. So, so to be in a semi-final with an opportunity to go to a final is huge. And I think, you know, I understand that, the players understand that, and it's an opportunity for us to take a step forward and to try and put our hand up to try and win something. And if we can do that, I think it would be great for the group. It's a young group of players, you know, with a couple of senior players dotted in there, but, you know, over the piece we've got a very, very young group of players. And you know, if players can get to a cup final and potentially win it at this early stage of their career, it would be an unbelievable achievement. But as I said, I'm fully focused on Sunday, and, you know, aware of what we're trying to do as a club and where we want to get to, and getting to cup finals and winning trophies is very much part of that.
Super. Listen, I'll let someone else jump in. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, Mark. Thank you.
John, how are you? John Fallon here.
Hey, John. Good, thank you. How are you?
Good, thanks. Good. Yeah, just a few. Just you mentioned about the young group, but you do have a couple of lads who were there 2 years ago. Like, what way do you sort of draw on that? Do you let them sort of do their thing in terms of, I'm sure lads are, you haven't played in the 𝗣𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗦 or thinking about it or asking about it, or do you draw on that yourself, you know, even though you weren't there?
Yeah, well, it's not something. Again, it's not something that I've looked at. Obviously, if we're lucky enough to get through to the final, it's maybe conversations that will be had with the likes of Lenny and Chris Forrester and 𝗣𝗥𝗘𝗦𝗏, and I think there was a couple of young boys within the squad on that day that probably weren't stripped as well. So, but that, you know, that's not something I've thought about or I've planned on doing just yet. As I said, it's, if you get through this one, then it's maybe conversations you can have with them to draw on that experience. You know, I've been to the 𝗣𝗐 myself, but I've never been there as a coach. I've never been there as a player. I've been there as a supporter, watching games, and it's a fantastic stadium. And you know, it would be unbelievable to get the chance to take a team out there and to manage a game there. And but I'm going to keep boring you with the same old line. It's a big one on Sunday that we need to overcome first.
And just on Sunday, like since you've come into the job, you've played Cork quite a few times, but there's been a lot of changes there on the pitch, off the pitch. What's the latest version of Cork that you can see?
Well, I think Richie took the team originally with, you know, when he came in there. When I came in, it was the two boys that took it. So like Richie was heavily involved, and then he took a step back. I don't know whether there's something in around the rules. If you haven't got a pro licence, you maybe can only take the team for a set number of days on an interim basis. So I think that maybe impacted why he had to probably take a back seat. So it's still the same players. It's very much a similar group. So you know, we're fully aware of their strengths and their weaknesses and what they can and can't do. And it's about making sure that we are fully, you know, focused on the threat that they pose, and then trying to exploit the areas that we feel they're weak. And I think if we can do that, we give ourselves the best opportunity.
And the one who's probably inflicted a bit of damage on you was Keaton with that equaliser outside there.
Mm-hmm.
Is he still their man to watch?
Yeah, he's obviously their talisman, isn't he? He's got plenty of goals this year. He leads the line really well. He's a threat. I think if you take your eye off him for half a second, he can go and get a chance. And I think he's someone that needs to be marshalled very well. They've got obviously another couple of players that we need to be mindful of, and you know, so that's obviously the work we've been doing the last few days, and we'll continue to do over the next few days before the game.
Right, John, best of luck Sunday.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey John, how's it going?
Sean, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Just going back to the 𝗤𝗏𝗏𝗏 tune, if you get over the line on Sunday, is there any songs around at the moment that you think would go on your mind?
I'm not, to be honest, I'm not one that listens to I listen to classic radio, so it's all the old tunes when I'm driving around, so I don't know what the new ones are out at the minute, to be honest with you.
Well, neither do I. I suppose I was talking to Joe Redmond yesterday at the 𝗣𝗐, and he was saying a big thing for him and the team this year have just been, you know, not getting too highs with the highs or too lows with the lows. Like, is that something you've been kind of keen to the message to get across? Yeah,
I think it's something that I kind of go by myself, like, because football has a way of kind of bringing you up and then quickly bringing you back down. So you try not to, you know, over celebrate when you win a game. It's, yes, enjoy the moment, enjoy the occasion, enjoy the night, but then you then have to quickly flip your focus to the next game, and that's the life of a football player, a football manager. You can't kind of, you know, get too high or too low on the other side of it. That if you lose a game, it's disappointing, but you know, it's not the end of the world. You have an opportunity, you know, come the next match day to try and fix it, to try and, you know, put it right. And I think that's, as I said, something that we've tried to implement, and to be fair to the lads, it is something that they've bought into, and you know, so hopefully it's an enjoyable on Sunday that we can celebrate, and then we turn our attention to Bohs in a couple of weeks' time.
Is that something that's kind of more difficult for younger players, the message to get across? Does it take a little bit more time to get that across to them?
Possibly you need to obviously speak to the younger players on that and see, but I think the younger players have been really good. Like Sam Curtis has been very good. He's probably one of the best young players I've worked with, and as a player and as a coach, to take on information and then apply that information, and you know, very receptive to any information he's given, and then has the quality then to go and actually then input that on the pitch as well.
Yeah, just finally for me, how, if you get over the line on Sunday, how that ranked in terms of your career?
Yeah, I think it'd be right up there. I think, if you can get to a cup final, it's obviously fantastic. It's then trying to go that extra step, but it's a game of football. It's 90 plus minutes, potentially penalties it may take. So it's making sure that we're fully prepared, and that if it doesn't go our way, it won't be for the lack of trying or the lack of effort. It'll be that we've given everything on the day, and if it's meant to be for us, it will be. So we'll obviously give it our best shot, and and then it will be a fantastic achievement.
Nice one. All the best. Thanks.
Thank you. Cheers, Sean. Thank you.